Hi, I'm Steve Schofield. I'm a personal injury lawyer with the law firm of Wells, Call, Clark, Bennett & Clausen. In this video, I want to explain the meaning of a legal term that probably most of you have heard before, but not everyone fully understands. That term is liability. So let's get right into discussing the question. What is liability? The reason it's so important to understand the concept of liability is that liability really is the core of any personal injury case. If you don't know what liability is, how can you know who's liable? If you don't know who's liable, or if no one else has liability for your injuries, then basically, unfortunately, you're going to be up a creek. You won't get any compensation for your injuries. So let's take a close look at this concept of liability by looking at three main points. First off, let's define liability. Simply put, liability is legal responsibility. To be held liable for something is to be held legally responsible for it. So to put it in terms of your injury, the person who is legally responsible is liable. But legally responsible for what exactly? To be liable in a civil case, which is what an injury case is, means that someone is going to be responsible to pay money to the injured person. So the party that is liable, whether it's an individual, a governmental entity, business, they're the one, or multiple people, if that's the case, they're the one that's going to have to pay money to cover the injured person's damages or the injuries and all of the other harm that surrounds the injury. The second point I want to cover is how does someone become legally responsible for an injury? Or how does someone become liable? The quick answer is they commit a tort. Now I know that's a funny little word, but simply put, what it means is a civil wrong. Someone commits a tort, which is a civil wrong. So what is a civil wrong? So someone commits a tort when they break a rule that our society has set up to keep us all safe from harm. Some common examples of torts are assault, battery, wrongful death, and negligence. The most common tort that creates an injury case is that of negligence. So more often than not, if you've been injured and you're trying to figure out who's responsible to pay for your damages, you're looking for the person or the business or the governmental entity that was negligent. For a full breakdown of what negligence means, go ahead and subscribe to our video channel, and there's lots of other videos, one of which will break down the meaning of negligence and how to know when someone's been negligent. So next I want to distinguish between criminal liability and civil liability. They're two different things. Someone can go out and do something that causes them to become both civilly liable and criminally liable. Let's look at the example of a drunk driver, for instance. The drunk driver goes and runs a red light and T-bones another car and injures that driver. They've committed a crime, and they've also committed a tort. When someone is criminally liable, they're usually looking at either a fine or jail time or both. If someone is liable in a civil case, meaning they've committed a tort, they are going to have to pay money to the party that was injured. Someone can also go out and do something that only creates civil liability, that's only a tort and not a crime. For example, let's take your classic rear-end motor vehicle accident situation. You're stopped at a stoplight, someone comes whizzing up behind you and rear-ends you because they weren't paying attention. So that person, they've committed a tort, negligence, they weren't paying attention, they've injured you, so they're going to be liable civilly for that tort, meaning they're going to have to pay you damages. On the other hand, they're probably not going to be charged with a crime because their conduct doesn't rise to the level of a crime. Simply civil liability there, not criminal liability. So to recap, liability means being held legally responsible. In a civil case, if someone is liable, they've committed a tort and they're going to have to pay money to the person that they harmed. The reason it's so important to understand this concept is that if you don't know who's liable for your injuries, you don't know who to pursue for compensation, and you won't get anything. I hope you learned something from this video and that you enjoyed watching it. If you'd like more information and you'd like to learn more to help you with your injury case, go ahead and feel free to click down at the bottom to subscribe to our videos. You can also go to our website with the link below, or you can feel free to join us in our personal injury Facebook group. It's called NorCal Personal Injury Help. The link is below. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.